Why am I clapping? Well, I'm clapping because this is the first ever Nokia OZO 360 VR interview, segment, conversation that's ever been done like this. And I have to give credit where credit is due. Doing this here was your idea. Nokia OZO is a wonderful sponsor and partner of this pavilion, our pavilion, the BeTerrific pavilion here at InfoComm. And you pushed to do this. You said, this is a great idea, you have to do it.
I put the headset on yesterday. I got up this morning. I said, wait a second, we got to get this on camera, and here we are. It's great.
Cool.
And then Stuart English from Nokia OZO, who was actually describing this very scene yesterday and why the light bulb didn't go off in my head. But I will say, last night we were having a lot of fun. We ordered in food to my room, and we all sat and watched the NBA Finals. And I said, you know, this would be the perfect place for the OZO as we had this great conversation. So thank you for putting this together on short notice and joining us here. And of course, my good friend Eric Fletcher, who is a camera operator, director of photography, producer, executive producer, all sorts of other great things. Society of Camera Operators, Dexter, True Blood.
Way too much stuff.
Shameless.
He's a host. What do
Great
you
I
expect,
know,
right?
it's just like,
Well, my notes say. Anyway,
it's like, I'm a guy with some opinions.
well, you have great ideas. I mean, I had this in a full circle. You've said, no, make this the. You are the fifth chair. So
Yep.
welcome to the
So
table.
you're kind of in the
Yeah,
conversation.
that's
now.
right.
And
Join
even
in.
if you don't have great ideas, you hire people who have great ideas.
Thank
That's
you.
even more important.
Yes, it is. Putting teams together. You taught me that, though. I've known you a long time, and you taught me that. So, I mean, you're a businessman, a doctor, all sorts of great stuff. How did you...
Now in this format. Sorry.
Exactly.
You know, I wonder-
I could have
We
our
can
own
have that conversation. They can have
They
theirs,
could
we can have ours. And they
people
can
could-
choose which one they want to join in.
Exactly.
That's what I
So
was
they
See,
could
saying.
that's what
budget
happens.
guys.
But this is called team building, right?
Well, what I was actually thinking as you were doing that, this is going to be the most ADD 360. People are going to be like this. But as you were saying that,
Yeah.
I realized that with the surround sound from the OZO,
Right.
that
Yeah.
literally people will hear that out of their corner and know where to turn.
Right.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Well, like we discussed yesterday, it's not really surround sound, it's binaural, which
Right.
allows you to do basically, as humans do, echolocation. You know, basically.
So we're all bats.
Well, not really, but we know where to turn and face
Right.
by where the voice is coming from. People have probably turned to the right and they're seeing me and Stuart right now.
Exactly.
And now they're going to turn to you when
Yeah.
you talk.
See, because they're looking at us because we're pretty, but if you want to get... now, if you
go a
want to
little
get...
farther there.
Yeah.
Michael's pretty. Michael's
Oh,
definitely.
no, he's beautiful. But
Way too kind.
Right, he's got to like shout or get somebody to turn their attention.
Indeed.
Although
Anyway,
there is
what
a
you guys were
resemblance
yakking once,
between
all
the
right, but the
Ozo.
point I was going to make was going to surprise you. Was like he was saying, you know, he was watching the NBA game last night, and that would be like, oh, that would be a perfect thing to put an OZO in.
Right.
What he doesn't know is, if he didn't pay attention close enough, there are OZOs at the NBA.
No, I wasn't saying
no.
no. I wasn't saying yes, I do, and
Oh,
I
you
wasn't
did?
saying
Oh.
at the NBA game. I was saying in my room we were having great conversations, sitting around watching the NBA game,
Yeah.
which we had just talked about.
And we had the OZO.
And we said if we
Yeah.
had the OZO there, it would have been
That
amazing.
would have been
Then some
immersive.
kind of strange voyeur could be sitting there in the middle
Why
of
do you
your
always have to
conversation.
say
Voyeur.
Oh yeah.
Is something we need to know, Eric?
By the way, lest anyone thought all week that this was really the ocean behind us at a window, now you can just look up and see the top of the video wall.
Exactly.
You know, the
Right.
secret's out of the bag.
Yeah.
So you, when did you first get into business? Because you went to medical school and you became a doctor and all this stuff. But I imagine as a youngster, you started to get interested in business and how business was done. Am I wrong?
Well, I was introduced to technology early on in the 70s. I was at Stanford. I was fortunate to go to Harvard for medical school, and so technology is where, you know, these are the places where a lot of technology gets developed, in the academic centers. And how that moved into science and biology was something I was part of for the last 25 years. And you know, the whole idea of communications and being able to bring these ideas to larger audiences is something I've always been interested in. And fortunately, I've known you for the last 20 plus years, and when the idea of doing something in the world of philanthropy to support our family foundation activities, to do some broadcasting, what we call giving TV, came up, needed a broadcast partner, and there you were, and here we are. So that's a sort of very compacted summary of what brings me to your stage here today.
But what is interesting, I think, and I wanted to set that up to say that so that you and I and Eric can look at the OZO, put on the headset, and go, wow, right?
Right.
And we can see the potential and we can get excited. But to me, when I I know how involved David is with technology, and when he put it on and he was blown away,
Right.
that's when I go, all right, he's got it, and it's mainstream, or it will go mainstream, and he loves it. I mean, he
5
you love
seconds.
it, right? Yeah.
5 seconds is like, oh my God.
Right.
Okay, and then you start thinking about what do we do with this?
Right.
And that conversation. Well,
Right.
that's the conversation. What
Right.
do we do with this?
Right. What I found in VR is a very binary sort, that there's on, off, okay, not for me. And then there's on, oh my God. Oh my God. And the great news is that the split between not for me and great, I would say, is probably at least 85% in the it's great, right? And so I try to think through why that possibly is, and I keep coming back to this conclusion as the way the data is presented to the brain is the way we see the world. And it's just like clicks, and the brain goes like, okay, I'm there.
Right.
And then it's an emotion engine, and it's about how people tell stories.
Oh yeah.
Craig from Data Video I told him I'm really excited about VR in probably in January, right after CES, and he told me, oh, I've seen all the demos and I'm not that excited. He said, but Jack, the CEO of Data Video, is very excited about it.
Right.
He thinks that it's the next thing and it's the greatest thing and he loves it. And he said, but I just don't get it. What do you see that he sees that I don't see? And I said, well, let me tell you, I already know. And he said, what's that? And I said, I know that the VR you're looking at is you walk by a booth at a trade show, somebody puts a headset on you, you watch that roller coaster video, right? And it's probably computer generated. It's not even a real roller coaster. Right. And he said, yes. And I said, that's awful. That's not VR. That's not what I'm talking about. It's not storytelling. So I said, go on Amazon, buy this headset that's for universal for any phone called the FreeFly VR headset. I think that one's a nice one. Put your iPhone, when you get it, call me. We'll put your iPhone in and I'll tell you a BeTerrific video to watch. If you don't like it, then I'll leave you alone. If you get it after that, then you're going to get it, and I don't care what content you watch after that. And I showed him a video that we did that told a story, that used VR to help tell the story. I think it's just a tool, and he was blown away. And now he's like, I see it, I get it.
Yeah.
And I think that unfortunately sometimes that the people who are showing off the technology don't do the best job because they're not content creators, so they pick what's out there, or they think it's cool or flashy or whatever.
Well, part of the problem is sometimes the people that come up with these ideas or the way to make the idea, they're the engineer, and some of the reasons that they're an engineer is that they didn't learn how to, where I'm going with this. They don't know how to present the story. They don't know how to create the content, and that's why they chose to go work in a cubicle and get cursed by everybody on set.
Oh, the whole audience is like, oh.
No,
without them, we don't have an OZO.
Well, but thankfully for them, that we do have this way of telling the story. But the problem is sometimes those are the guys that create the content to show off the product.
Right.
And it's like they don't understand how to show it off.
Sure.
They understand how to build it and they can communicate all the numbers about it to you, but they don't understand how to tell the story with it. And it's kind of like, unfortunately, when a product is in early development, that's the people you hear from.
Yeah.
And you don't hear from the people who know how to really give you the
Let me add
advantage
something.
of this.
As I've been thinking about this, having put the headset on yesterday, remember the movie Fantastic Voyage from the 70s? Where the vehicle gets shrunk and goes into the bloodstream?
Yeah.
Well, you can't actually do that. It violates the laws of physics.
It does. Yeah.
But what you can do is go in there virtually. So
Yeah.
when I put that headset on, being a physician, being involved in technology and medicine for a long time, you just begin to think about, for example, with the Da Vinci, which is robotic surgery, which has taken over and transformed certain areas of surgery. The ability to visualize through the robotic surgery and to have a 3D and 360 degree, surrounding view, that's not 20 years, 50 years in the future. That's today.
Yeah.
Now, how exactly it'll be adopted and how you bring it into practice and so forth, that's just one example that occurs to me that this technology is going to enable.
Yeah.
And the components of it are there.
Right.
Yeah, I just had arthroscopic surgery on actually both shoulders 6 months apart, and they roll me into the surgical suite. I'm like, oh, look at all those monitors,
Exactly.
And in a couple of years, he's going to put on a pair of VR goggles, and he's going to be inside my shoulder joint.
Right.
Well, God, I hope he's not back inside my shoulder joint. I hope we're done with this. But it's probably going to make for more efficient surgery.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, more efficient, faster recoveries.
Maybe less mistakes.
Better outcomes.
Yeah,
everything.
yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
You can't
Well,
stop technology.
Right.
It's how it works with the actual individuals that have been practicing. That's what takes time, and to educate, which is
We,
what you're doing.
I can't say who it is, because for confidentiality reasons, but one of our early adopters.
But you'll say something.
I might hint. Yeah. One of our early adopters is actually in medical school.
There you go.
And they had 2 applications for the product. One was like almost obvious when they said what it was, and that was, we need to train surgeons.
Right.
And it's difficult to put another person in the room. It's a lot easier to put a camera in the room, and we'll train them virtually.
Sure.
Oh, by the way, we're training multiple virtually, because we can live stream, or we can record it, and we can do 10.
And of course, simulators
10
have
at a
been
time.
around for 30, 40 years.
Sure.
This is
Right.
taking simulation experience
Yeah.
and bringing it up close
Right,
to
and
personal.
somebody else said, do you
Right.
know how much it costs to train a helicopter pilot? And you're like, no. And he says, well, because of simulated time and flight time, it's really expensive. So if you could put a camera as a co-pilot and just capture the experience, the pilot can talk to the co-pilot, and I can do it virtually. So there's all these sort of massively corporate communications, which is kind of why we're here at InfoComm, by the way, to talk about these things with people.
We. I'll go
Okay,
ahead. Yeah.
And the other application they had, though,
Heads are
was
now going.
they were concerned that parents were too readily signing up to the surgical procedure. And they wanted to illustrate the life of a child that's had the procedure done to it. So they were bringing the camera. The concept was bring the camera into the kitchen and show. This is how a child's life is on a day-by-day basis after this. So are you sure you want to do this? Because this is pretty life-changing, maybe necessary, but they were concerned that their parents were signing up a little too quick. I thought that was a really interesting application. And their point was, television doesn't get the story across. We think that VR would tell the story in a more emotional, a more immediate, and a more understandable way.
Well, television hides a lot. It's a box, and I remember bringing people into sports arenas, and they saw the step and repeat, the backdrop that a coach stands in front of. Many times on television, they think of it in their mind. They paint this picture that it's a grand room and it's beautiful.
Right.
It's a concrete room that's ugly with the terrible
And they
chairs.
had no idea that it's only 6 feet wide.
Right,
That's
and
right.
they and they walk into
No
this
roof.
and they walk into this room for the first time, and they're like, "Oh my God, this is terrible." And if you went into a
Closet.
locker room in the 70s, 80s, 90s of pro sports, people
Yeah.
would have thought they were spectacular. You walk in, and they were like your locker room that you had in high school. They
Sure.
weren't anything great. So it's kind of perspective, but this shows the whole world. And to speak to that, like I was just thinking, being on camera all the time, we're always thinking about. I'm always on camera. I'm looking at you. I'm thinking of how I should react, and should I smile now or should I not? And it's just, because there's a camera that could be on me that could be switched to the wrong thing. But now you have to be more cognizant of that, because as Eric's talking, as you're talking, I'm always on camera.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna reiterate the point of, like you said, remote surgery, things like that. One of the the big charity of the SSC is the Children's Eye Center in Los Angeles, and Dr. Lee and the work that he's doing. He's doing a lot of remote diagnosis and things like that, where they're just using a 2D camera, and they're diagnosing children's eye problems. And something like this could help to put Dr. Lee in the virtual environment with these children.
In so many ways, it's back to the
do it
future.
back the other way with the parents now. They can virtually be in this thing where Dr. Lee could be showing them something and illustrating what we're going to do to their child that then they're going to do, with robotic surgery using the
Well, there was a segment
iconic
the other day
DC-10.
about Back to the Future, and what you're saying really resonates with me. I mean, telemedicine isn't new. It used to be, though, picking up the phone, calling the doctor, and the doctor
Right.
making a home
Telephone
visit.
medicine.
I'm old enough to remember
Right.
that happening, the doctor coming over. It's just not feasible today, but you can have that experience
Well, and one of
within
the-
a cost structure that's supportable.
And one of the
and be
really
able-
cool things about telemedicine doing it that way is now you're not limited to the specialist that's in your city.
Exactly.
You can have the absolute top surgeon who might be 4,000 miles away working on you robotically.
And making access available to all communities,
Exactly.
which isn't currently
Exactly.
possible.
We had a guy come by to see the control room before, who is from Queen's University in Canada. Apparently they have a top-rated medical school, and they want to figure out how to do lesson plans on video. And
Right.
while I said, well, why don't you come up and talk about that? We have a little gap. I'll interview you. Okay, sure. And while we were talking, I brought up the OZO, and
Right.
his eyes got huge,
Yeah.
and he had no idea, and he immediately went over there afterwards. We were talking about a lot of these same things, and I also think, to your point about surgery, I have some friends who recently had surgery on their shoulder, actually, and I told them that it's not that easy a surgery as you think. From what I've heard, oh no, I'll be back at work tomorrow, and I'm like, no, I
Yeah.
don't think you will. And I think that showing somebody what the recovery process is like
Right.
also could be very good.
Yeah.
You know, and you kind of
Yeah.
brought that up.
Right.
How close can you get to this and still be in focus? Can I do that?
I think you
still be in
just freak
focus,
people
well,
out.
You can get close, but it's a bit like the old trick of put a finger in front of your eyes and bring it closer and closer and closer. At some point in time, you'll double it. It'll see
Right.
two images. You'll see two fingers, right?
Right.
So you can
there's probably
you can
two
actually see
fingers.
all the way to the lens,
All right.
but you're seeing it stereoscopically.
And it's just going to get better and better and better. I
Well,
mean,
the thing is, no, it's not that it's a defect. It's just that you take your thumb and you focus on it. Now bring your thumb
Right.
closer, but do not change your foot. Do not cross-eye. At some point in time, you'll see two thumbs.
Right.
That's because you're looking at it from two angles. You'll see two images,
Yeah.
and that's what you'll see unless we explicitly throw one of the eye points away. In which case, you'll see one again.
What,
And
what,
that,
what
and that
Stuart
distance is different.
This
Yeah.
Stuart
Physiology.
said that they designed this very much like the human eye and with the human brain in mind. It was actually very interesting. We talked a lot about that yesterday, and so it's all designed to interact with you later on when you take that video.
Right.
So this is actually should be very natural because it's designed to interact with you as if you're that person. It should replace my head. It should replace my eyes.
You know what my dad would say about having 2 eyes and 2 ears? We have 2 eyes and 2 ears.
Right.
So we should see and hear twice as much as we talk, right?
Right, okay.
But seriously, what you were saying about listening and echolocating, again, that's why we have 2 eyes and 2 ears, to be able to have directionality.
That's right.
And the technology's catching
this,
up with that.
And this camera does, right?
Right.
So actually the origination of this philosophy, this interview, was, I think it was Democratic primary, but basically when they do those conventions, I mean, they're like candidate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and sometimes 17.
Debates,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row, and then a couple of presenters back there and a camera back there. And it's like, that's all very interesting, but the director is choosing where you look. And this discussion was, if this camera really is a person, it's modeled on a head, why don't we just become a person? And the best interviews are around kitchen tables. So what we kind of got going on here is like effectively a big round circle, and we've asked the camera to join us. And you, the audience, you're inside the camera. And if you
Right.
happen to looking at me, I'm talking to Aunt Maud, who's not saying anything today, but the other members of the family are around the table.
Right.
And you're able to look and see. You might be watching me, but actually, as I'm saying, you might be looking at Michael and saying, like, his face is telling you that he's thinking I'm speaking, off color or something like that. But you're free to look around and choose your point of view. And actually, I think that becomes a very interesting point of composition of a story, because that is the way we react in the real world.
And it's small enough already. I mean, you spent your life working with cameras,
Yeah.
carrying stuff around. You could pick this up in your mobile.
Well,
Or
and
put it on
it's,
a
it's
Steadicam.
really interesting because I'm sitting here thinking about this, and we made the joke earlier about the HAL 64,000 because it's
Right.
8 lenses, and
Yeah.
the HAL 9,000 had 1 lens. But it was Kubrick was almost prepping us for that
Right.
in 2001 with that shot, and where they sat there and they talked to HAL, and it was that extreme wide angle shot, and it was kind of, thinking about it now, it's kind of interesting.
That was one of your favorite movies, wasn't it?
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, when you think about that movie coming out
69.
69, yeah.
69, so we're
69,
talking
they started production in
That's
what,
69.
a while ago.
almost
Yeah.
50 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And crazy. So the artists, they have this vision so far ahead of the time, then the technology slowly
Well,
catches up.
look at any old episode of Star Trek. We pretty much live it now.
Exactly.
Right.
And to your point, this is V1. It is going to get a lot better,
Yeah.
and it is just a start. Guys, I mean, I'm honored to be here with you, gentlemen, for the first ever Nokia OZO interview in 360 VR. It's been a real pleasure and a real treat. I can't thank you enough. I think it's a full collaborative effort. Eric figured out where the camera should go with Stuart. Stuart made it happen. David and Stuart kind of also started the thought process of this. And David, of course, said, this has got to happen. Let's make it happen, and came up with the idea fully on his own, just from putting on the headset. And I'm so happy. And I love that it's an educational process, because here at InfoComm, that's also part of the mission. Here at the Pavilion, that's part of our mission. And of course, it's always part of the BeTerrific Giving TV mission. So.
And one other important shout out to the audience out there that's
Yeah.
watching us.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being part of the BeTerrific community. Without you, none of this accomplishes anything. So it's
Absolutely.
wonderful.
Absolutely. And if you are watching this in VR, you can check out the interview in regular switched video, so you can see what the OZO actually looks like. It's in many shots, including this one right now, as Eric.
Poking you.
And you'll be able to do that on BeTerrific.com. And of course, you know that because you're either watching this on BeTerrific.com or on one of the many VR platforms that we post to. All right, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And on behalf of these gentlemen, thank you.
Finally.
We'll be back with a whole lot more. Your live continuing coverage from InfoComm 2016 in Las Vegas, Nevada, from the Las Vegas Convention Center right after this. Don't go anywhere. Yes!